10 seconds in, and you're about to witness the ultimate clash over a single parking spot, an epic saga of neighborly warfare that will leave you both horrified and cheering for justice. Imagine pulling into your own driveway only to find a stranger's car blocking your path. You honk, you shout, but nothing changes until the tables turn in the most spectacular way. It all started on Maple Avenue, a quiet suburban street lined with tidy homes and perfectly trimmed lawns. I just moved into number 12, eager to enjoy the calm of small-town life. Across the street lived Mr. Howard at number 15, a retired engineer with a knack for precision and an acute sense of entitlement. Our first encounter was innocuous, a nod, a wave, a brief welcome to the neighborhood. But behind that friendly greeting lay a simmering territorial instinct that would soon explode. The crux of the dispute was simple: parking. Every home on Maple Avenue had two spots, a driveway and a two-car garage. Yet on weekdays, Mr. Howard's daughter, Laura, visited frequently, her shiny SUV taking up prime real estate right in front of my driveway. At first, I thought it a one-off inconvenience. I'd circle the block, wait 5 minutes, and drive in. But as days turned into weeks, the behavior became habitual. Laura would arrive at 7:30 a.m., settle in for her work-from-home shift, and park her SUV dead center across my access. I tried gentle reminders, a sticky note on her windshield reading, "Please don't block drive," a polite knock on Howard's door. His response was calm. "Sorry about that, I'll remind Laura." But the next morning, the SUV was back, unapologetic and immovable. Tension grew. I began logging infractions, dates, times, license plate numbers. I photographed the blocked driveway from inside my living room. 2019 Ford Explorer, license plate PKA 4723. By week 3, I'd compiled enough evidence to irritate even the most patient soul. One Friday, I decided enough was enough. I parked my own car half in the street as a warning, hoping to inconvenience Laura just enough to make her think twice. I left a note on her windshield: "This is how it feels." To my surprise, the next day, I found her car parked diagonally across not only my driveway, but partially on the sidewalk, forcing pedestrians to step into the road. I knew then Mr. Howard wasn't going to intervene. He deputized his daughter as the neighborhood parking czar. I escalated. I called the local non-emergency line to report an illegally parked vehicle blocking private access. The dispatcher sighed. "We'll send someone by when we can, but it might take a while." When the parking enforcement officer arrived 2 hours later, Laura was gone, and the car had magically repositioned itself neatly on the street, just not in front of my house anymore. Feeling stymied, I hatched my first real countermeasure. I rented a cheap little collapsible parking pole, one of those cone and chain contraptions that collapse for authorized use but stand tall to block entry. I installed it in front of my garage overnight. The next morning, I found the pole bent and half buried in mulch. The culprit? Mr. Howard, wielding a shovel like a medieval battering ram. On his porch, he gave me a rueful shrug. "Really? A pole?" Frustration turned to resolve. I spent an evening sketching out a plan worthy of a sitcom. If he wanted to treat the street like his own personal lot, I'll give him an exhibit of public humiliation he'd never forget. Phase 1, surveillance. I mounted 3 inexpensive Wi-Fi cameras, one on the garage eave, one under the front porch, and one on a tripod in the yard. Each camera fed into my laptop, recording 24/7. I wanted undeniable proof of his daughter's parking trespasses and of Mr. Howard's sabotage. It didn't take long. By midweek, I had hours of footage. Laura's SUV inching across my driveway at precisely 7:29 a.m. Mr. Howard emerging with a shovel at 7:45 a.m. Me capturing every move. I compiled the most outrageous clips into a 15-minute reel, block after block, intrusion after intrusion. Phase 2, social media. I created a private YouTube playlist titled Maple Avenue Injustice. I uploaded the video with a simple description. Watch how my neighbor claims my driveway, destroys my property, and still acts like the victim. Hashtag parking wars. Then I shared the link in the neighborhood Facebook group. Maple Avenue residents, please watch. You deserve to know what's going on. The post exploded. Dozens of comments, shares, local outrage. Mr. Howard noticed. The next morning, I found my mailbox splintered, the camera smashed. He'd rummaged through the mulch beds again, looking for wires. But he hadn't found the hidden wireless transmitters or the backup SD cards I'd installed inside the garage. The video lived on. Phase 3, public pressure. I printed out screenshots of the video, Laura's SUV blocking the driveway, Mr. Howard's sneering face behind the shovel, and plastered them on the community bulletin board at the local grocery store. Under each image, a caption, "Meet the people blocking your way." The neighborhood scuttlebutt was alive with gossip. Parents complained they couldn't get strollers past the sidewalk blockade. The paperboy had nearly been hit by a car forced into oncoming traffic. By now, Mr. Howard's pride was wounded. He stormed over one afternoon, face flushed, demanding I take down the flyers. I smiled and said I'd be happy to, but only when his daughter stopped parking in front of my driveway and he agreed to fix my mailbox. He sputtered, "You're making a big deal out of nothing." I pointed to a gathering crowd as someone else tugged the flyers off the bulletin board. "Is all this nothing?" For a moment, I thought he'd give in. Instead, he retreated, muttering about overreaction. That night, I added a new twist, a disguised intercom on my porch. The next morning, as Laura strutted back to her SUV after yoga, I spoke through the speaker in a friendly, automated voice. "Good morning, Laura. This is your driveway speaking. Please don't park here. Thank you." She froze, looked around, and ran back inside. She didn't return to her car until I showed up. It was working, but I needed the knockout blow. Phase 4, the neighborhood block party. I organized it as a welcome back to Maple Avenue barbecue, renting tables and a grill, sending paper invitations to every house, including number 15. I made sure they arrived on Friday afternoon in hand-addressed envelopes. I posted signs, "Everyone welcome, Saturday, 2 p.m. at 12 Maple Avenue." On the day of the party, the street buzzed with chatter. Mr. Howard's SUV rolled into its usual spot, blocking only half my driveway, which was progress. Guests arrived, retired couples, young families, dog walkers. I served burgers, lemonade, and had a projector ready. At 3 p.m., I asked everyone to gather around. "I've got something to share," I announced, and cued my 14-minute Maple Avenue injustice. The video played on my living room wall, visible through the open French doors. When Laura's silver SUV blocking me in, heads turned. When Mr. Howard was caught smashing my camera under the porch, gasps rose. At the clip of the broken mailbox, someone hollered, "That's outrageous." When the intercom recording played, the entire neighborhood erupted in laughter. Red-faced, Mr. Howard stormed back inside. Laura followed, burying her face in her phone. I paused the video. "That's it," I said. "If you've any comments, the comment section's open." A neighbor named Carol stepped forward. "That's your driveway in the back there, right?" she asked Howard's empty doorway. "Maybe you should park in your garage like everyone else." Nods all around. Before the reel ended, Mr. Howard peered through the curtains and fumbled the front door open. "I apologize," he said loudly, stumbling over his words. I promise it won't happen again." The crowd cheered. Laura slipped away, silent. We wrapped up the party. As guests left, Carol gave me a thumbs up. "Nice work," she whispered. I leaned against the doorframe and watched Mr. Howard stride over, his posture begrudgingly respectful. "Your methods were creative," he admitted. I nodded. "I just want to use my driveway, Mr. Howard. Is that too much?" He extended his hand. "No, you won." That handshake felt like victory. Yet I knew this chapter wasn't over. True peace on Maple Avenue would require cooperation, not humiliation alone. Over the next week, Howard appeared with a fruit basket and a note, "Let's be neighbors, not enemies." In return, I invited him for coffee, and we discussed simple rules: no blocking driveways, no damaging property. He agreed, and Laura left her SUV in the garage unless absolutely necessary. But every time I park now, I glance at that shiny driveway pole beside the garage, smiling. Because sometimes the only language some people understand is public accountability, and in the game of payback, a little humiliation goes a long way. Peace settled over Maple Avenue like the calm after a storm, but I knew better than to trust it completely. For 2 weeks, every morning I pulled into my driveway without a hitch. The pole stood straight, unmovable, Laura's SUV was safely tucked away in the Howard garage, and Mr. Howard waved at me from his porch as I watered my begonias. Yet in the back of my mind, I waited for the next salvo. One crisp Saturday, I awoke to the faint drone of a car idling. Peeking through the blinds, I saw a towing truck. My heart dropped. I'd forgotten it was the first of the month, street cleaning day. In my rush to clear the street, I'd left my pole down, and now a tow operator was hauling it away like an abandoned traffic cone. I raced outside, breathless, to explain that it belonged to me. He shrugged. "If it's in the street, we tow it." I watched helplessly as he loaded the pole into the truck bed and drove off. Deflated, I trudged next door. I found Mr. Howard tinkering with his vintage radio on the porch. "I need your help," I admitted. "The towing company took my pole." He looked up, eyebrows knitting. For a moment, I saw the old engineer's problem-solving spark. "Why didn't you park in the driveway this morning?" he asked. I sighed. "Because I assumed I'd have the street free like everyone else." He frowned, stood, and said simply, "Come on." We walked to the towing yard together. Inside the dusty impound lot, Mr. Howard approached the clerk and explained I was the owner of the pole, complete with proof of purchase on his phone. 10 minutes later, I had it back, minus a small impound fee. On the way out, I turned to Mr. Howard. "Thanks." He shrugged. "Just return it to your property line and maybe invest in a permit." His tone was teasing but not unkind. That afternoon, I replaced the pole with a solar-powered Sentinel light I found online, blinking a friendly yet firm "no trespassing." I rigged it so it could flash a polite "occupied" when my driveway camera detected movement. It felt like the perfect compromise: visible, legal, and harder to tow. Over the next month, interactions with the Howards grew friendlier. I helped Mr. Howard replace the broken window screen he'd neglected for years. In return, Laura baked my daughter brownies after school. One evening, Howard knocked on my door holding 2 mugs. "Coffee?" he offered. We sat on my porch swing, sipping dark roast under string lights. The air felt warmer than the coffee. "That block party was something," he said quietly, eyes on the yard. "I hate that it came to that. I suppose I never realized how much space matters until I lost control of it." I nodded. Space is personal, but so is respect. He laughed softly, shifting. "You taught me a lesson, neighbor. Consider it learned." Months passed. My driveway remained clear. The intercom retired to a drawer for a special occasion. The camera stayed up, but recorded only happy footage of birthday balloons and Halloween pumpkins on the porch. The solar light blinked its steady green at dusk, a beacon of peaceful coexistence. One Tuesday morning, I returned from an early jog to find Howard waiting by my gate, beaming. "Got something for you," he said, holding a small wooden box. Inside was a handcrafted key holder engraved with "Driveway Guardian." "Thought you'd appreciate it," he grinned. Tucked inside was a single brass key, that of his own garage. "Use it whenever you need to borrow tools. Just promise not to steal my spot." I laughed, clasped the key, and shook his hand. Driving into my garage that day felt triumphant in a different way. Not because I'd conquered a feud, but because we'd built a bridge. The asphalt between our homes had been transformed from battleground to common ground. Word of our truce even spread beyond the cul-de-sac. The Maple Avenue Facebook group asked for the before and after story, and I shared a brief write-up along with photos of the key holder and the blinking light. Comments poured in. Neighbors grateful for my boldness, some inspired to stand up for their own driveways, others amused by the intercom prank. I realized our saga had resonated far beyond blocked cars. It spoke to standing your ground with creativity and community. Still, I never let my guard down completely. One rainy night, I heard a crunch on the gravel path. I opened the door to find a soggy squirrel scampering away with, of all things, one of the garden gnome's hats. I shook my head, smiling. Maybe it wasn't another Howard invasion, but I was ready, pole or no pole. In the end, neighbor wars taught me that victory isn't about humiliating the other side. It's about reclaiming your space without losing your humanity. And sometimes the sweetest revenge is a simple handshake over a cup of coffee.